On the edge of a quiet seaside town, there stood an old house wrapped in ivy and memory. Its windows faced the restless ocean, and its wooden walls carried the echoes of years that no one spoke about. The house belonged to Clara, a woman in her early 30s who had not returned since her grandfather died long ago. She had locked the door on the day of his funeral, believing she was closing something painful forever. In truth, she had also locked away grief, questions, and love she never understood. Years passed, and life moved with mechanical speed. Clara built a career, surrounded herself with schedules, responsibilities, and polite conversations that never touched her heart. Yet every autumn, when the wind carried the scent of salt and rain, she felt an unexplainable pull toward the sea. She ignored it, convincing herself that the past was better left unopened. Then one afternoon, a letter arrived, thin and official, bearing the name of a local lawyer. The message was simple. Her grandfather's belongings still remained in the attic, untouched for years, waiting for someone to claim them. The lawyer suggested she visit before the property was transferred. Clara stared at the paper, feeling an old ache awaken. Memories returned like waves, relentless and cold. She almost refused, yet something inside her whispered that avoidance had lasted long enough. It was time to go back. When she arrived, the house greeted her with silence. Dust drifted through beams of sunlight, and the faint scent of old books mixed with sea air. Each step across the floorboards sounded like a memory waking. On a narrow shelf near the stairs, she noticed a small, rusty key tied with a faded ribbon. Beside it lay a note written in her grandfather's familiar handwriting. It read, "For the chest upstairs, when you are ready." Clara's hands trembled as she lifted the key. The metal felt warm, as though it had been waiting patiently for her return. She climbed toward the attic, each step creaking softly, echoing years of distance. The attic was dim, filled with shadows and forgotten shapes. In one corner stood a wooden chest carved with tiny stars, its surface worn by time. The key fit perfectly. When she turned it, the lock clicked, a small sound that felt enormous. Inside were letters, photographs, and a delicate music box. The first envelope carried her name, written carefully. She opened it slowly, afraid of what waited inside. The words began gently, calling her his dear Clara, and apologizing for silence he once believed was strength. He wrote about mistakes, about pride, and about love he never learned to express aloud. Tears blurred her vision as she realized the distance between them had been built from misunderstanding, not indifference. For years, she carried the belief that she had never been enough. Now she saw a man who loved deeply but feared vulnerability. The music box waited beside her, silent. When she opened it, a soft lullaby filled the attic. The melody returned her to summer evenings, fishing by the shore, laughter carried by wind, and a gentle voice humming comfort into the night. Memories poured through her like sunlight, warming places she thought forever cold. She whispered that she understood, that she forgave, and that love had always been present. Hours passed unnoticed as she read every letter and studied every photograph. Outside, the sun lowered, turning the attic gold. Something within her softened. She realized healing rarely arrives with dramatic moments. Instead, it grows quietly when truth finally meets understanding. She rose and opened the windows wide, allowing fresh sea air to rush inside. Dust lifted, and the room breathed again. That evening, the house no longer felt haunted. It felt alive, filled with forgiveness instead of regret. Clara walked through each room, touching walls, remembering laughter, and recognizing how love survives even when words fail. The next morning, she placed the old key on the mantelpiece where sunlight could reach it. She smiled, understanding that it had opened more than a chest. Before leaving, she paused at the doorway. Gratitude filled her chest as she whispered a quiet thank you. The door closed gently behind her, not as an ending, but as a beginning. She carried the lessons with her, knowing that memories do not trap us unless we refuse to face them. Healing, she learned, begins when courage meets compassion. Stories like Clara's remind us that the past is not an enemy but a teacher. The objects we inherit often carry unfinished conversations, waiting patiently for understanding. Sometimes a simple key becomes an invitation to listen differently, to reconsider old pain, and to recognize love hidden beneath silence. In returning, Clara did not change the past. She changed her relationship with it. This narrative, inspired by the story presented in the outline, invites viewers to reflect on their own unopened rooms. What letters remain unread in your life, and what forgiveness waits behind hesitation? Perhaps the memories we fear most are the ones capable of healing us. When we finally unlock them, we discover that love was never lost, only waiting for recognition. As you watch, consider the quiet keys already in your hands. They may appear ordinary, yet they hold the power to reopen conversations, mend relationships, and release burdens carried for years. True closure rarely comes from forgetting. It comes from understanding. Clara's journey teaches that forgiveness is not about excusing pain, but freeing ourselves from its weight. If this story resonates with you, take a moment to remember someone you once misunderstood. Imagine what might change if you revisited that memory with compassion instead of judgment. Every heart carries an attic filled with forgotten letters and unanswered emotions. Opening it may feel frightening, yet within that space lies the possibility of peace. The old key did not change the house, but it transformed Clara. Likewise, the courage to revisit our memories reshapes who we become. When we acknowledge love that was imperfectly expressed, we allow healing to begin. The doors we fear most often lead toward freedom, reminding us that forgiveness is both a gift we offer others and ourselves. In the end, Clara walked away lighter, carrying no resentment, only gratitude for lessons discovered too late to share with words. Yet, through acceptance, she honored her grandfather's love and allowed his memory to become a source of strength rather than sorrow. The ocean continued its endless rhythm, echoing the truth that healing is not a single moment, but a journey renewed each day. Perhaps your own story waits in a quiet place, hidden behind hesitation. Maybe a conversation, a photograph, or a familiar melody could guide you back toward understanding. Like Clara, you may discover that forgiveness does not erase pain, but transforms it into wisdom. When we accept imperfect love, we reclaim peace that was always within reach. So, as this video comes to a close, reflect on the memories that shaped you. Ask yourself which doors remain unopened and what healing might follow if you chose courage today. The smallest key can unlock profound change, reminding us that every ending carries the promise of a gentle beginning. Thank you for watching and for allowing this story to travel beside you. Share in the comments the memory that helped you forgive, because sometimes the keys we find do not open doors at all, but open hearts ready to heal and grow again. May your own journey toward understanding begin with a single brave step today. And may every memory you revisit lead you closer to peace and renewed hope within your life, always moving forward with compassion. Thank you for watching English Life Tales. Remember, the past isn't always a prison. Sometimes it's the path to peace.